This podcast is sponsored by Relevant. It's a new iOS app to consolidate the media you want to see in a place you control. With Relevant, you stay up to date with things you're actually interested in. You tell Relevant what's relevant to you, and you'll be given all the content you love from all across the internet, all in one place. It's available on iOS devices and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
What's up, everybody? It's the Poorly Edited Podcast coming at you live from
WXLV The X at L-Tri-C main campus. I'm Chandler Davis. I'm here. I'm your host. I got the other host, and the whole gang's here today.
My name's Coffee Guy.
My name's Patrick Lilly.
My name's Amresse Farrow.
My name's Lizzie Cates.
And we got Josh Brennan on the camera, as usual.
Joshy B.
Joshy B.
We don't have Robo Josh with us today. Robo Brennan, sorry.
Well, Robo Brennan has started to, he's been acting out, he's been thinking on his own lately.
We don't want that.
He has another job now. I don't know. He's just been like waiting tables and stuff at TGI Fridays. It's weird. I don't know what he's just going in a different direction.
He wants to take her out for nice meals and everything.
Yeah.
Ever seen
He picked up a second job.
I've seen iRobot.
It's like that.
He got a
The
pet
whole
fish.
thing?
Yeah.
Robo Brennan got a pet fish too. Did you hear?
No.
He loves
did.
sweet potato pie.
I hate sweet potato pie. I don't trust him now.
Is that a pie?
Yeah.
Does
It kind of sounds like Easter pie, like an untrustworthy type of pie.
It's an untrustworthy source for pie.
And also Easter pie, you never see it like just coming out of the oven, so you have no idea how long ago it was that it was actually cooking and it was baked. It could be 3 months, it could be 3 hours ago.
When was
Just
the
don't
last
trust
time you
Easter
remember seeing
pie.
an Easter pie being baked?
I've never seen one in my life. That's messed up.
Don't trust it. It was
I don't
created
trust
by
like
the
that.
government to I don't know.
Just like
I didn't get
just
that
like the
far.
cheese.
To be a
Yeah,
pie.
it's government cheese. It's government Easter pie.
Are you googling that?
It was created by the government to be a pie.
Can we get can we get a number crunch on that?
33 layers of crust.
Really?
Speaking of the
Is
government,
that facts?
what's the Joshua Brennan marriage countdown at?
Oh.
How many days are we at?
Let me crunch those numbers
has it
quick
on
and
his
get back
phone.
to you.
Wow.
He has a timer
Oh, you
set
have a
on his
countdown?
phone.
That's cute.
Aww. He's crunching the numbers right now himself. He's
Josh
recording
Brennan.
it too. What is it?
384.
384.
384 days.
Congratulations.
That's like more than a year.
Good job, Pat. That's why you're the numbers guy. How many days are in here?
Clearly, we have very low standards for who
5,200
gets to be the numbers guy.
5,280 days in a year.
All
That
right.
sounds correct.
Okay, sure. That's what it felt like. It felt like that long of winter. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I forgot what it was like to A, drive with my windows down, B, wear shorts, C, be warm in general.
The other day, you said, I've never been so happy to sweat.
Yeah, and I meant that so much. And I can't wait until halfway through this show where this room becomes a sauna like it always does. Because now I'm ready to go, dude. I'm in shorts, I'm dressed.
And Russ just looked at you like, you didn't tell me about this. I didn't sign up for this.
She's wearing a jacket. She's jacketed up right now. Lizzie's got long sleeves on.
I wasn't told when I signed up for all of this, and now I'm stuck. I signed a
neither were we.
50,000-year contract
We
just
got
to
our
be in
soul.
this room. I wasn't told how uncomfortable the situations would be. I need to contact the union.
Oh, there's
Is that
not
a
a
union?
union.
We'll get to that afterwards.
Well, you know.
Don't worry about that.
You know, we might be the first generation to not be affected by aging. Scientists have said that.
We were talking about this a while
Yeah, we
ago.
were.
When was that last podcast we
It
did
was-
that?
No, I don't think we talked about it on the podcast. We just talked about it in general.
Wait, does
In
it?
conversation.
So not aging. Is that?
Because you were talking
What
about
is
how
that?
like aging isn't something that has to happen, you were saying.
Right. Well, that's the way scientists treat like how they're approaching it, as it's like a sickness. It's not just a thing that
Do you
happens
mean genetic
biologically.
modification, or do you mean controlling what our atmosphere and what we put in and around our bodies?
It's kind of a little bit of that. It's about how you're treating your body to stop aging. So
I just take
stem
like
cells and things like
I don't
that.
just take like an anti-aging pill. and it
No,
works?
there's no like one. It's a combination of like 3 main things, which is like getting rid of dead and dying tissue, keeping the current and like dead and dying cells, etc., and then keeping what's there healthy currently, and then proactively treating things that will fail in the future with stem cells and things like that. It's very interesting. And like the fact that scientists have said, I mean, they're not like it is the case, but the fact that they would even say that the first generation that might not be affected by aging could be alive right now is very interesting.
That's really weird. It's like, I could see us being like the first generation to like colonize Mars, but not aging. For some reason, that seems way more
Colonize
unattainable.
aging.
What?
Yeah.
Not colonizing.
Well, because it's I think been wired for us to think that all organic organisms have to die from old age eventually if they live long enough. Like that's just a thing that has to happen essentially. But it's not. It's like a car. Like you can indefinitely take care of a car no matter how old it is, so that even if parts fail or something, you replace them, you fix them, you maintain it, you keep up with it. And that very, very old car can be just go on functionally forever if you take good enough care of it. It's kind of like that with the human body.
Does that delve into what's the paradox with a ship, where if you replace every broken part, is it a new ship? And then if you
That's a really good question. And also, is it not aging just physically, or is it mentally as well? Because as our body ages, so does our mind. And
In what way?
our mind tends to atrophy. You know, there's Alzheimer's and there's dementia, those things like that. So are we saying that we're the last generation that will be affected by aging on a physical level, or on a physical and psychological level as well?
Well, that's why we're here today. We have our aging specialist, Chandler Davis. And
in
he's
in
joining.
layman's terms, when Cortana lasted more than 7 years, AI wasn't meant to do that.
Yeah, because of rampancy.
Because of rampancy.
Yeah.
So if a human lasted more than its lifetime, would that kind of thing set in?
That's interesting. I think it's really interesting, so that the idea that things that haven't happened yet, we have no idea what it would be like, but we're approaching it might happen. That kind of weird, kind of like how we don't know how the internet is going to pan out, or we don't actually know how capitalism and the free market of how America is set up.
Or
we don't know how that pans out because we're the first to try it in the
Or how
world.
smartphones affect us? 'Cause
Right.
There's no long-term studies
Exactly.
on that. We could be terrible for us.
It's so fascinating to think about, like, because you're on the cutting edge, you have no idea what's around the corner. So it's kind of that way too. It's like, what happens when an organism lives for that long? No idea. Maybe it's good or bad. We have no idea, you know? I mean, we can hypothesize what could possibly happen. I think that's a very good point. I don't think stopping aging is necessarily going to stop. That doesn't mean stopping disease or anything like that. It's just the natural process thus far of your body gets old and parts break, and then eventually one of those parts will be so paramount to your function and staying alive that you die from it, is essentially aging, you know? And so stopping that process, like, you will still probably die from diseases, but you're not going to die from, like, oh, your kidneys just like failed. They just stopped working all of a sudden.
Here's a question. So when you're like, so let's say you're like 80 years old and you look back upon yourself currently, are you a different person, or have you just changed drastically, do you think?
Well, aren't they kind of the same thing?
Our body kind of sheds at times. Our skin resheds, our body resheds. So the body that we have now.
I don't necessarily mean the body. I mean the identity. Like, do you look back on yourself and you're like, that was me? Or is it like weird? Is it like, you
Is
look
that
back?
more of a metaphorical question than anything else, though?
That could be
Like
psychological
something-
and spiritual. Are you the same person
Yeah,
on a spiritual level, your soul wise? Are you that person, the same person you were the day you were born, or the same spiritual soul that you were in other lifetimes?
That's true.
Or are you completely different? Are you constantly
'Cause that's
evolving
like-
into someone new? That's a very good question. I've been delving into that lately.
If I get reincarnated, then am I the same person? Like, what do I have in
Well,
common?
your soul is the same.
Yeah.
That's about all it would be.
But can your soul change?
Yeah, I think so. You know,
Good or bad, or its purpose?
I'll be the first to admit that I think everyone in this room, if you would have known me, maybe I will say even just 4 years ago, you'd have been like, awful, hate him, like, do not want to deal with him at all. So I think, like, the idea that your identity can change so drastically to the point where you can look back and be like, that's a different person. Like, I reflect on some of my actions from when I was younger of being like that. I am so distant from that kind of person who would have done those things to now that it's just like the disparity is almost to that point where you're like, is that even how much of myself really is still there from that time, you know?
I'd completely agree with that. I would feel like we kind of change form from who we are, especially now, to who we were as children. And as children, there's many traits about us that obviously we don't grow up and keep with us. But that sense of kind of whimsy, not having that anxiety, not having all of these certain attributes that make us who we are now, kind of like anxiety and daily worries and these fears. And when we were younger, we had confidence. We weren't afraid to step in front of a camera or speak our mind and be honest or make friends with anyone and not think about money or anything like
Someone didn't silence their phone.
or anything like that.
That's
Sorry
never
about that.
happened in the poorly edited podcast.
Or anything like that. So I'm just thinking, are we born who we are and then like we lose that, or are we born like a blank canvas and then we find ourselves?
I think you're born a blank canvas. That seems to make sense.
See, I don't.
Okay.
Really?
Yes, I am. As we've talked about.
Well, I think there's to a certain degree. So I think I can. I
half
think so.
half and half.
Yeah.
Yes.
Genetics play a huge part. The apple might not fall far from the tree, that kind of thing.
But like half and half. I've talked about this before. I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person, but a spiritual person, and I really believe that we have these souls and they pass on through different lives, and sometimes they can be new, and sometimes you can meet an old soul that's clearly lived, like someone that shows up to this earth and they know way more about it than you are supposed to ever be able to get that knowledge of in that 20 years of life or that 30 years of life or something. So there's so much you've taken. I think that there's so much you've taken with you from past lives, but then I think you lose a lot of that as well. You lose the memories and you have to rebuild it with each life, which is another conversation for another day. But that just goes into the spiritual, psychological, and physical aspect of not aging per se.
See, it's a lot of lore for me to really gather. It's a lot of
Do we
details.
have a wiki I can look up?
I see. Like my thing is, that's like too complicated. I'm just like, dude, you just live your life.
Right?
You do your thing, dude. You try to be the best person you can be, and just whatever happens on the other side, like, let's kick it for now. Because like this is what's up right now.
I got another question for you. So let's say you're 80 again, and you're looking back, and you're 20 year old. So
Just 8. It's the magic number.
whatever. So you're old.
Okay.
You've lived a long life. You learned a lot from when you were like 20. So then, let's say you could what?
That's what old people sound like.
Yeah. Let's say you could like transport your mind back to when you were 20. You could like go back and inhabit that body.
Oh.
Would you think like you're an 80-year-old or like a 20-year-old?
I think you'd think like an 80-year-old and a 20-year-old's body.
Are you sure though? Because doesn't the brain like different? It changes.
See, at that point, there's like multiple layers to this, to the way you want to approach this question.
In that scenario, like, how does that exactly work?
This question isn't lore. Too much folklore for you.
Is this canon?
Yeah.
No, this is extended universe.
Like, are we talking the brain is transferred or the soul of the brain is transferred?
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a difference.
Isn't
Well, no, if you transfer the brain, for all intents and purposes, you would just be that 80-year-old person with all the thoughts and memories and knowledge, except you're in a younger body, which is not a far-fetched concept of what people may view the future of, like, never dying, essentially.
What about Freaky
like
Friday?
Emperor Palpatine.
Wait, Freaky Friday? Where
Sure.
I have no idea why they switched. Do you remember why they switched?
Because of the fortune cookie.
Yeah, because I don't whatever that means.
Okay.
The Chinese
It
restaurant.
was to teach them a lesson about appreciating your mother and appreciating your daughter.
You can always count on Lizzie to know the 90s like
that
teen
Lindsay
movie
Lohan,
trivia.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Like
You mean
that
she's
section
that
of
great
history.
stuff.
So Lizzie, this question's for you. Do you think
Wait,
so they swap like consciousnesses? So do you think the brain, the state of their brain, of the body they switched into, would affect their consciousness?
Sure, go ahead.
Answering for you.
I definitely think that. I think
Can
that
you tag her in, please?
I'm in. I definitely think that the body that you're in, Freaky Friday being an example of this, is that you're going to change depending on your gender, depending on what you look like, whether you consider yourself attractive or unattractive, whether you're old or young, or the financial state you're in. So the body you put yourself in can change your mind, even if it's a mind that's being switched right away, really quickly. I feel like if any of us were to switch shoes with one another, we would
I'm talking
have
about
our
consciousness, not shoes.
conscious.
Give me that bell. Give me that bell.
There you go.
I need that.
Bellkeeper.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, if any of us were to switch shoes or positions with each other, we would enter the other body with the same brain, but like 5 seconds later, it would automatically change because we would perceive ourselves differently.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
of
like
the
my
situation you're in.
If Pat and I changed shoes, like my
I'd call
feet,
him- I'd still
there'd be
call
a
you
lot
Zach.
more room in my
Wait.
shoes, and
You would.
they'd be like moving all around. My feet would be moving all
Because you're
around.
like 5'5", so.
Hey, dude, let's chill
And
out.
that's
okay?
all for the Poorly Edited podcast today. Thanks for tuning in.
We saw Lizzie put on Amresse's heels
true.
today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room in
I have
there.
small feet.
I
does?
come
That's
from a
an-
very flat-footed, big-footed family. In fact, my
Not
father, who's
opportune.
never really been with me, I believe is Bigfoot. So if anyone has seen Bigfoot, that is my father. Please mention something on our social media sites. I've been trying to
So-
find him for a while.
That brings up so you're saying if me and Chandler Freaky Friday'd, I'd assume the identity of Chandler really quickly? Is that what
No,
you're saying?
I'm not
Well,
saying you'd assume the
that's
identity of
interesting.
Chandler because you have not lived Chandler's life, had his parents, had his family, had his home, had his upbringing, had those memories. However, you would assume your own mind within his reality, within his financial barriers, within his family structure.
So I mean, his perspective would probably change. about a
Absolutely,
lot.
absolutely. And this is one of those things where that would be a really helpful thing to
Of
understanding
course.
one another pretty well when we see someone and maybe they're being like a little bit of a jerk or they cut us off and our first instinct is to overreact, but really you don't really know what's going on in their day. If you were quick switched into their body, you might be like, oh my gosh, I completely understand what's going on.
The key is always about humanizing people. Like, you want to humanize everybody as much as possible. The moment you kind of have that detachment of like, oh, that's just, they're only that one thing that I encountered them on that one day, and whatever that encounter was, whatever their occupation is, whatever, like that's all they are in the grand scheme of things. Like, everyone is just this moving piece in this huge play, and it's so important to be like, wait, okay, chill out. There's probably a lot of stuff that factored into that interaction I might have had with someone that might not have been great, because you have to understand that, I don't know, I would want people to think about those things in my case if I'm not having the best of time, but I think that that's really important, is
All right, well,
to have that
We're
ability.
going to get back to consciousness after this break. So
Well, hopefully not.
we'll be right back. And we're back.
And we're back with the Poorly Edited podcast. Lizzie Cates has departed. I don't know where she went. I think I can hear her in the background.
That was really sudden, too.
Yeah, it was crazy. She just immediately got up.
She sprinted.
Sprung out of, yeah,
It's
she ran
crazy.
away. She did not enjoy the last topic
Never
we were
seen
on.
her run so quickly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Very rude, honestly, if I had to say.
Hey, Lizzie, we're live.
Hey, Lizzie. Oh, hey, no, hey,
I'd
whenever
like
you're
to
ready.
point out that we don't mean any of that. And Lizzie Cates is a beautiful, intelligent young woman, and we are blessed with her presence.
I don't care
Thank
what
you.
they say about her all the time. It's,
Yeah.
I don't care what they
she's cool.
say
She's
either.
good people.
Yeah.
Honestly,
about
She's good people.
And that one rumor, it's just not true.
it isn't.
No.
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
I'm
She
gonna
has
keep-
10 toes.
I'm going to keep
I
talking
can,
about it.
I can guarantee that.
She has dealt with me probably the most as frequently than anyone else in this room. And for that, you deserve some award of some capacity.
Well,
to
we
deal
don't
with
have
me
one,
so much.
Should be
Yeah,
a large
well,
monetary value
yeah,
that you deserve.
Obviously.
We definitely don't have that.
Will you settle for like a Frosty?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
I don't
dude,
want.
deal.
No, I don't want a frosty. I want like real ice cream
You'll settle for ice
with
cream.
sprinkles,
Lizzie
where?
Cates just not.
marshmallows.
Lizzie, Lizzie is in love with ice cream.
Sprinkles or Jimmy's?
What's the
Sprinkles.
difference?
Get out of here.
Sprinkles.
Are Jimmy's the UK?
What are Jimmy's?
Oh, I'm pretty
Jimmy's
sure-
are like in the middle of the state.
I think that's
States.
just.
Oh,
Like,
that's
not the
weird.
middle of the country states.
I'm going to look
I
up
had 2
You
hours
know how
of
many
sleep.
country states there?
U.S. North.
And an hour and a half of
U.S.
sleep.
Northeast. Chocolate rod-shaped sprinkles.
How
So,
did you... I didn't even see your hands move. How did you Google that?
I'm an old soul, all right?
I am an old soul. I'm an indigo child. We should talk about that next week on the podcast. Is indigo
Who
child
said you're coming on next
and
week?
souls. I'm
Boom.
sorry.
No.
I've,
See, classes
I've
have
been
ended.
fired.
We have nothing to do anymore. We're
That is
all
not
week still.
true. We are. I work 3 jobs. I
Okay.
I stalk the dogs in my neighborhood. I'm busy.
She does.
Your neighbors
You
put
got
up
a fence?
Yeah.
My neighbors actually have put up a fence. Within 1 day, they put up a huge fence just to keep me out.
It's not just a fence. It's like it's a wall. It's one of those fences
it
you
is a
can't
wall.
see through.
Yeah.
It's a privacy fence.
They consulted Trump and his administration about this. And they were like, how do we build a wall?
So Chandler, what are we going to be doing with our free time now?
We're going to be having lots of fun, having lots of summer fun.
Moving to Florida, right?
Let's go to the beach
Yeah,
next week, guys.
we're moving to
I'm not
Islamorada,
moving to
Florida.
Florida.
If you don't want to find us, find it.
No, we're not moving to Florida.
We're not moving to Florida.
My dad's going to Florida next week, so
I'm coming with.
Let's go
Tell
with.
your dad.
he's going to the Keys.
So there's a lot of new stuff that's going to be going on this summer. Like I know
Very exciting things.
The radio station is renovating, and we're going to get displaced from here very shortly into some other room in the main campus buildings.
This is the last time we'll broadcast from this room.
Oh
Yes,
wow,
because
that's
it won't be this room anymore.
Because they're changing the whole format, and
emotional
renovating
thing.
everything.
We'll be in a broom closet for a couple of weeks,
Yeah, well,
and
you know.
then who knows?
The greats got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
The whole summer.
The fact that they let us here for as long as they did before putting us in the broom closet, miraculous.
Yeah, I bet the construction is just a front to get us out. And
I just
they'll
think they
say,
don't
"Yeah, we
actually
never
realize
finished."
that we're here.
We're gonna come
Yeah.
back and like Chris is gonna be like using a drill, just like making noises and like hammering wood. Like guys,
really busy.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Can't.
crazy construction going on. You guys gotta leave.
When in reality, they gave our time slot away and said not to come back.
To someone funnier and better than us.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Chris,
Funnier implies that we're funny in the first place.
Hashtag at Chris Andrews.
Let's
Josh,
not throw
Chris
him under the bus.
Can you do that?
Can't hashtag and
I was
at
gonna
someone
say.
at the
Yeah, you
same
can.
time.
Well, I just
Or
did.
let's ask our social media person. Can you do that?
That's a
At the
spoiler.
exact same time,
Yeah.
That
a
was a
hashtag
spoiler.
is different than an at symbol and an at symbol. And an at symbol is meant to put someone in the direction of a different account
fired.
or a person. I'm not good at with I'm done talking now.
The at
I'm
sign
the
is when you put in your
communication
email
specialist
address.
and I can't communicate. So we're in
Well,
the right direction, folks.
We've been up
Poorly
to a
edited
lot.
podcast.
We've been up to a lot for. I think the time frame is so weird now. We just got done finals, and that was crazy because we've had stuff going on during the finals for college, and I just found out I passed all my classes, which is amazing. I didn't think it was going to happen because biology was really hard this semester, but it's really fun. And so we've been working really hard for the last how many weeks? Like 5, 6.
Feels like 3 years about
Enough.
at this
It's
point.
been enough. When was that? When did that start? I'd say
whatever the business pitch thing was, I guess, early
when
April.
was
Yeah.
that?
Let me look that up.
All right.
It was a Friday night. It was It was April 13th.
That sounds
Wasn't it?
correct.
I think it was
sounds correct.
April. It was Friday, April 13th, I believe.
That sounds right.
Yes. I
Friday,
know I'm
April
right.
13th.
I know I'm right about that.
So we've been going since even a little bit before then, pretty much nonstop, just breakneck speed, doing pretty much throwing together this new thing that we're doing, which is essentially we've started a production company and a record label, pretty much, and it's called Lab 212, and it's been super awesome, and we've already accomplished so much. We're expanding the team, we're expanding our horizons for what we're going to be doing in the future in terms of content on the entertainment side of what we're doing, like the podcast that we're doing right now, which is going to continue indefinitely.
Gonna have a bunch of new shows, not
Yeah.
just podcasts. So that's
It's gonna be
that's-
exhausting.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
excited.
And we're not even just saying that because what we've been so busy doing is filming all these new shows and
Yes.
this new content and working on all the things on the business end and getting all that together. The Danny Yates shoot we did with him for his new single, he's on our record label and he's working with us, and we're going to be working very closely with him in the coming months when he's releasing his new single, which should be out very soon.
Are we able to give a little snippet on that video? Just a word or two? Or not yet?
You mean like
Talking
sum it
about
up?
the theme of
The
the
theme of the theme of that shoot with Danny Yates that we
Yeah.
did was,
It was pretty saucy.
and
say the
that's
least.
all I need to say. It
Yeah,
was pretty saucy.
it
That's
was.
all I wanted.
We had a really good time, and Danny had a really good time aside from being cold.
Danny
It was
had a
very
terrible
cold that
time.
day. He's a trooper, though.
He was.
He was really a trooper.
This is a video you are not going to want to miss when it comes out.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Well, we filmed all the behind the scenes. It was a photo shoot, which you're going to obviously see the finished product, photos when his single comes out very soon, which was what the promotional material was shot for. And we also filmed behind the scenes of the entire thing, both from like buying the materials at Costco, which was an ordeal in itself, to shooting the entire thing in one day and what all the craziness that entailed. It's definitely not something you're only going to see it once. Like, no one else is going to be able to offer you the roller coaster ride that was
of emotions and putting materials together. It's kind of, I find it amazing how we're able to organize things at the last minute, not because of a lack of planning or anything, but just because of how things work out. Deadlines get moved up, schedules, that kind of thing. So how we're able to get together so quickly, get every single thing banged out, and not leave until everything's done, it just really says what a great team we have. We work well together.
It's
a
been
saucy team.
Like that's literally since the business pitch. We caught word of I was talking to the head of the Business Entrepreneur Center at L-Tri-C, Tremaine Tatum, and the day before.
Really cool guy, by the way.
He's great.
Shout out to him.
He's awesome. He might be on the show sometime. I like his name. Yeah,
it's a good name.
Which is important.
He's been helping us. He's been giving us a lot of helpful information. He gave us some book homework that we have to do, some books we have to read, good material on Chance the Rapper's manager and stuff. He really changed the game.
Who is Chance the Rapper's manager? I just love Chance the Rapper, so I'm curious.
I'm not sure.
Let me crunch those numbers.
I don't want to butcher his name. But so yeah, we just from that business pitch, which we did in less than 24 hours between Thursday and Friday night. We had one of our dedicated, amazing graphics artist, Mitchell Fenn, who's also a very talented filmmaker, and he helped us slap together all the graphics for the presentation. That was 12 slides long, super detailed business pitch to this board of judges for the contest at the college, and that was crazy. That was such a last minute thing, and that's how it's been. Since from that moment, we've just never stopped running, after that. And it's been so many of those encounters where it's like, ooh, we're really pressed for time. Got to make it happen. It's either make or break, and that's just how we've been rolling. And I think we've done a really good job rolling with the punches so far. Everything, all the obstacles that have come along the way, things we didn't foresee. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. It definitely hasn't been, but everyone is just amazing that we've been working with. The team in this room, the people who are at home right now still working so hard. Like,
shout out to Sam who's listening.
Yeah, Sam Keenan.
She's amazing. She's watching. She's watching right now. She's on. She's watching live right now while working on a bunch of stuff for us, and she didn't sleep at all last night, all night long.
Josh didn't sleep at all.
Yeah, Josh Brennan didn't sleep at all. I think I got like an hour and a half of sleep.
I got plenty of sleep.
We all met up. We met up at 6 a.m. this morning, but still, just happy to be doing what we're doing. Just positivity.
Yeah. We woke up at 6 a.m. Well, we all got together around 6 a.m.
I mean, I don't know. Josh was there at 6. I was there at 6.
I was there at 6.
Yeah.
Who wasn't there at 6?
I was there at 7:40.
Chandler and Pat and Lizzie weren't there.
I said I'd be there at 7:40.
I brought donuts.
It's okay because it was like we did like an 8-hour shoot today.
Yeah.
Shoot. It was a shoot.
It felt like No, it didn't. It at no point felt like work, even though
it was work.
A really long shoot.
Yeah.
As we left your house to come here, I'm like, oh, school just got out. We got there before school started.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
And time just, even though it was a lot of work, time just kind of flew by because we were working together and we loved it.
Yeah.
We worked on lighting and the content and the material and getting some awesome stuff out to show you guys. Took a lot of time and work, but just flew by.
It helps that everyone's really, really funny. I think that really helps us get.
It helps you enjoy yourself a little bit more.
But yeah, we were filming the announcement video, which is going to be going up on the channel probably tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, or even before that, where we're going to be officially announcing, on there that we're switching from Poorly Edited Podcast Lab 212 on everything, which is very important to
on all of the social media.
Yeah.
So if you guys are, once again, I will point this out. If you guys are looking for us, I don't think I mentioned it yet. So
it's going to be Lab 212 from now on. Not
all of our social media, Instagram, we're going to be having Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, everything really.
All the accounts that we've already had, for the Poorly Edited Podcast, we're changing the names too, which is very important to know. But the podcast isn't going anywhere, and this is still going to be called the Poorly Edited Podcast. It's still a show that we are doing. We now have this company which is handling everything that we do because we're expanding and doing a ton of more stuff like comedy skits and vlogs and
streaming,
live streaming to Twitch, which Mitchell Fenn is getting out of work and immediately running home to do the very first Lab 212 live stream on Twitch tonight.
From 6 to 11?
Yeah,
6
roughly.
From like 6 to 11 p.m. on Twitch tonight. So so hop on there if you want to check them out.
Twitch.tv/lab212.
Pretty much right after this ends, you can probably hop on there and get ready for that. It's going to be pretty awesome. He's super hype. He is so excited to be doing this and to be like streaming. Like he loves it so much. And you're gonna be, Pat, the other person. It's kind of like a dual custody kind of thing with the Twitch
There's
channel.
a really long legal battle.
Yeah,
but, they figured it out.
He's gonna be Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6 to 11. I'll be Tuesday, Thursday around the same time. I'm not sure exactly when yet.
Yeah,
the dedication.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah, we're coming out with the announcement video, a new podcast episode as well this week, on top of what will probably be another episode of some series that may or may not have launched yet, soon to be determined. But so essentially 3 videos in the pipeline for just this week and the rebrand, and that's going to be enough work all on its own.
Hey Chan, can we tell our listeners a little bit about why we're doing this?
We'll do that after the break.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be right back. And we're back. I missed my mic button.
Caught him in the act.
So Chandler, back to what you were saying before I rudely interrupted.
Well, that's what you do every week. I think the question was, why are we doing what we're doing? Which I think is a very valid question, because it's like, well, you have the podcast. Why? What would make you want to move from all the amazing things that are going on with this show,
all the splendor that comes,
and add in so much more work and so many other things and people
on top of all of us working jobs already and going to college, which we've been doing during all this process as well, which has been crazy. But we've had a lot of professors and stuff that have been so awesome as well, that have helped us along the way with some things that I think has been really instrumental in
you want to shout out anybody?
Definitely Scott Tice, 100%, dude. He's been amazing. He's been working so closely with us to like help us stay motivated and like realistic. And we've really appreciated how honest he's been with us through the whole process.
He might be the best person ever to get your idea shot down by.
Yes.
He's like, he shoots it down. I'm like, this is good. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just such a talented dude himself, Yeah, and he gave me an A in his class, so I'm on board, dude. I am on board.
He's checking all the boxes.
But yeah, I think so. We've been doing this show for 9 months now, which even sounds crazy on its own. And we've had so many amazing, talented artists and creative people on the show, which is what the show's built around naturally. And it was interesting, the more people we talked to, the more friends we made through the show and connections we made, it was becoming like more and more apparent that there was just some gap that people, these artists, whether they be musicians or what have you, but especially with the musicians we encountered, we loved their music so much. They were doing so many interesting things and really trying to build a reputation for themselves, but they were having such a hard time finding their audience and bridging that gap between the amazing work that they've been doing, and they've refined so much over the years to garnering an audience for that and garnering a following. And we think that we have the ability to help fill that void to get them from point A to point B to where they want to go. And it's been already really cool. We have a few artists that, we've been talking very close to. Big shout out to Ryan Flynn, who's been super, we were playing his song in the intro of the show. And he has a new EP coming out. He's been working really closely with us for a lot of the record label stuff. He's been really instrumental, no pun intended. And,
I don't get it.
But yeah, it's been so cool to work so closely with these people that we admire for their drive and passion that they have towards music and their art, and to be able to I don't know, just kind of like capture that lightning in a bottle and be able to like play with it ourselves, you know, and create something out of it ourselves has been so fun and so interesting to work so closely with these people who before it was just this, it was like they're doing their thing, we're doing our thing. And it's like, no, dude, why are we not, you know, we've all become such good friends over the time, and they've been, you know, we have a lot of musician friends that come to us like, oh, what do you think of my new track I'm working on and stuff? And it's just like, well, why are we not working closer together? Why is this not a thing? You know,
like my favorite part of all this is that like, we're not like just saying that people are good that we like want to work with. We actually think they are.
Yeah.
Like Ryan's in a band called Food Truck, and he showed me like their one song they have, their single out. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I love this. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, it's like, let me know when you make new stuff. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
It's better to have a company or a team together that believes in the people they're working with. Like, this is all about collaboration and just loving what you're doing and showing up because it's the art and because it's the craft and because you actually love it. Like, that's so beautiful to me. Not just showing up because you're choosing clients or you're choosing people to work with because they have money or because they asked or for whatever reason, but because like you feel it. Yeah. You feel that passion. And that's what makes this just so charismatic and what's that word? Like magnetic. Oh. Yeah.
Same thing. Well, magnets are organisms.
Magnets are magic anyway. So like,
I think that it's been such a big foundation for what we've done and why we started doing what we were doing. You know, we've been operating solely from this perspective of like, it's all about that attention to the art and having that passion and loving what you do so much that you're willing to do what we did this morning, which is ruin sleeping in for ourselves on the first day of our summer break from college that we just got done with, and waking up at 5 a.m. to drive 20, 30, 40 minutes and go film for 8 hours straight, you know, and then coming here and filming the show for that. You know, like, these people, everyone that we're working with are so amazing and so dedicated to what they do, and that's why that's why it's been working so well, and that's why it doesn't feel like actual work, you know. And even with the musicians we work with and the other artists we work with, it's the same thing where they love what they're doing so much, and us all working together as a unit is so organic and so easy and fluid because of that. It's not forced. We don't have to go out and find people and force them to work with us or pitch them hard, you know. It's just happens, you know, with us, and they come to us with ideas, and we bounce ideas back and forth, and it's such a collaborative, interesting, fun thing that we've been able to do from a perspective that I feel like a lot of other companies or production companies maybe doing similar things, or even record labels, are not really doing. They're like missing that piece of are the people you're working with, because I think we believe that if you're working with the kind of dedicated, passionate crop that we're trying to cultivate, then what's going to be produced is the most amazing work. It's going to be the best quality product you can possibly obtain because of that. As opposed to just Joe Schmo off the street. It's like, oh yeah, well, he wants a thing. Let's just crank it out and call it a day. You know, that's not really how we want to roll, and that hasn't been how we've rolled, and that's been the cause of just amazing energy and amazing work coming from that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a firm believer that nothing good or really productive comes out of negativity in a bad environment. And I think the more positive you are, like the shoot we did this morning, we woke up at 6 a.m. Like you said, it's our first day of our actual break. And even though we're shooting for that whole amount of time, it's not a bunch of misery between us. It's not misery and negativity and constant complaining like, oh, we're here, we're doing it, we're cranking it out. But it's just constantly loving every single minute of it. And the same with whether we're shooting or whether we're working with artists. Like, life and music and all these different things are going to be drawn to you when you're positive and you love what you're doing. But it's a struggle when you don't find that joy in it, when you don't find that spark. I think that's what really sets us apart.
Has anyone ever told you sound like an old soul?
Bringing it back.
I think it was the nicest thing you could have said to her.
That's honestly, yeah.
Wait, were you serious?
No.
Okay. I take that really seriously. I consider myself an old soul. I'm also an indigo child. And
we're not doing
I take that really seriously. But
I apologize.
We'll talk about that on another episode. Right now we're talking about this I'm so excited. Like, I can't sit still. Like, you have no idea. I'm so excited to be a part of this. I'm working on social media and communications and content. And it's just every moment of it is wonderful. We're constantly learning. This is about learning and innovation and growing and education and educating ourselves, being aware of our strengths and not seeing what we don't know as a weakness, but as a strength, something we can improve upon and help each other out with. It's not about competition. It's about growing together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be a part of this podcast 9 months ago because I was so excited for the possibility of building a creative network, and to be able to give that a kickstart and see it actually happen has been awesome to help other people.
Totally
in that way.
Full circle.
Yeah.
I would imagine for you. I remember, I don't even think I've ever told you this to your face in private. So I'm going to just,
You're fired.
I'm going to lay it all out here. Let's take a quick flashback.
You don't have feelings for me, do you?
No, well,
okay.
Let's take a quick flashback. How you've gotten to where you are. To 9 months ago, it's September, October. I had just met Storm, and we're sitting in film club. It's like the first day of film club. And me and Storm, we had just started to hit it off. Like, we're really good friends. We've been talking about starting the podcast. We've been talking about collabing on stuff. So we're already like very clicky. And so we're sitting in the film club, and
you were making fun of me. You told me about this.
Oh, did I tell you about this? Oh, dude, we were roasting you so hard. Because Josh was like, oh, can everyone introduce themselves? Tell a little bit about why you wanted to join film club and stuff. Because Josh used to be the president of film club. I don't know if you knew, but he is no longer. He has been since dethroned.
Who replaced you?
Jess.
Oh,
Jess Botto. Shout out to Jess Botto. One fair and
she's
square.
She's listening right now. I just saw that she was listening with us live.
I'm
so thank you, Jess.
Sorry, Jess. But so when it was Zach's turn to introduce himself, he stands up. He's like, "Oh, well, I want to join film club because I don't know anything about pretty much like really anything."
Yeah, pretty much.
And you're like, and I want to learn. And me and Storm were just, why would he come here if he didn't know anything? That's stupid.
Who knows? Big mistake, I guess.
Wait, you said this in
I
college?
remember that. Was I there?
You don't walk into college and you're like, I know everything here.
Well, I think naively.
That's ignorance. That's really ignorant.
We were very naive at the time to assume that anyone who would walk into something called film club that had no idea how any of that worked would even be interested in that. Because, I mean, I think it's not even that, it's not that unreasonable we would think that. I mean, I come from a place which is not far from here, but seemingly somewhat much more backwards, where
as do I,
liking the kind of thing I like, I was like one of the only people. I know of maybe one or two other people tops in my entire high school, really, that was as into film and things like that as I was. And so to come from that environment where it's just such a foreign thing and nobody really knows about it, and then to come here and have someone be like, well, I don't know anything about it, but I'm interested in learning. It's like, who does that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't compute. You either love it and you're like born in it, you know, with a camera in your hand, or it's nothing. You know, like that's just how it's been wired at that time. Up until that point, that was how I was wired to kind of approach it. But I've since been educated. You know, I think that you were so smart you were always trying to place yourself where things just might happen so that you might get the chance. And you did. If
you want something, you got to be there to get it. So.
Yeah.
Life begins at the end of your comfort zone, right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Confucius says.
I think I can definitely agree with that.
Guess I'll never live life then.
And it really does. I think that with this collaborating with what we're doing here with Lab 212, it's not just about, oh, I'm feeling positive, I'm feeling comfortable with musicians I already know, and with these kind of things we already know. We're not just talking about doing one thing and meeting with one type of artist or that kind of thing. It's branching out. It's talking to all different types of people and artists and learning about different types of art and getting ourselves into different things that we didn't know maybe existed before, we're not as aware of, and just Whose phone is that? Who dare?
That alarm
Not
was actually
turn-
for the break we have to take real quick. So we'll be right back.
Right back.
And we're back. Oh, I hit the button that time.
Nice, dude. Good job.
I'm learning.
You're hired
All right,
for Lab 212.
so you what? All right, so you keep saying you're an indigo child.
I am an indigo child. My mom always told me that I was an indigo child growing up, and she saw every single sign.
Is that like the Na'vi from Avatar?
Can you briefly inform us what an indigo child is?
And
It's the lid.
an indigo child is a child at a very young age that is noticed to be very heightened with their heightened senses. They tend to be empaths. They tend to understand and see things around them that people can't quite explain. A lot of them see angels. A lot of them see
Have you
angels.
seen an angel?
When I was little,
Like
apparently I used to see
Anakin
some angels, and I used to tell my mom that I saw the angels. They connect with the spiritual realm or spirits a little bit more. Most of them tend to be old souls, and they tend to have progressive ways of dealing with situations. They walk into a room even when they're a kid, and they see a completely different way of doing something that was in place in that establishment for a very long time. And many people tend to kind of not like them or not quite understand them because they have progressive advanced thoughts. But tell me what the internet says. What is...
So this is based on Gaia.com. And for those of you
that
unfamiliar,
sounds legit.
Gaia is the earth god in Greek mythology, I want to say. Could be wrong.
Can we break down why you said that sounds legit? This thing that's totally subjective that isn't based on any fact or evidence. What? How?
I think she was giving you sass. That's what was happening.
It was sass. Of course, I guess I kind of live my life by CNN and hard sites and sites that I know are verified and just trusted. And
Well, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. So anyway,
Fake news.
not fake news.
this is so you got 13 traits of empath, or not what empath, and of indigo children. So I'm just gonna run through them, and you're gonna tell me,
Okay.
explain a little bit more.
And maybe if
on
they
each of
apply to
these.
me.
So number one is you feel entitled. You were born feeling special and know it.
I hate oh God.
Right
I
away.
really hate to answer that. Is that really number one?
That
Because
is
I feel
number
like you set
one.
me up for that one. Yes, I always felt really entitled as a child. I always felt like I was on a much higher spiritual level than the other kids. Not saying that I felt like I was so much better than them. I was richer. I was prettier, that kind of thing. I just felt like the other kids didn't get it. I was way more mature. I was at a different spiritual level. I never connected with kids my own age. I would always make friends with the teacher, with the adults around me. If a bunch of kids were playing together, I'd be sitting in the corner talking to the teacher about her divorce and about how she's growing her mind and expanding and opening to new things at first grade level.
And
So I guess I felt entitled in that way, in a spiritual mindset.
You guys agree with that consensus? Does that sound like Amresse?
Absolutely. 100%.
Sure, that's 1 point.
All right. So
Oh, would you like
One
to
step
tell me
of the
that
way.
I'm just a...
No, I just want to get through these 13 questions.
All right,
man.
go ahead. Number 2.
you are destined to be here. You are confident and even arrogant at times, and emboldened by something larger than you can. This is painting indigo children in a really negative light, I think.
What's the difference?
It's not supposed to be negative. It's really not.
I know it's not, but these are
These
I feel
are
like
funny.
I feel like
This-
the connotation on these questions
I
makes
know
it
where you're
seem
going
like
with
really
this.
negative.
Yes, I do feel destined to be
okay.
here. A lot of people feel like they don't have a direction in life, and I've always felt like my direction was to bring people together and form communities, which is kind of definitely what we're doing right now. But form communities and be here together. What? Okay, I can't get through these questions.
Something that's interesting is you've mentioned before that purpose is really important to you. That
Purpose
you must have a purpose.
And I've said this so many times. Purpose is so extremely important to me because it can't just be for the money or for whatever reason, or just to have a job, or just to go throughout the motions in life of getting a career and getting married and everything like that. I feel destined to be here and entitled to be here on this earth because I want to help people. I know I will have many different jobs or roles in my life to help people, to bring people together, to collaborate on different things, to heal people in different ways, to be a friend, to be a mentor, to be a daughter, in that those different senses. Number three.
Number three is you have a high expectation of yourself and others.
Extremely high expectations of myself. Even though I don't usually meet any of them, but I still have very, very high expectations for myself. When I was younger, I would say they were much, much higher. And I have very high expectations for other people. Not what they can do for me, but my expectations are centered around what they can do for the world and the people around them. I always put people up and give them the benefit of the doubt. And I do this thing where I try to pray for the people that I dislike the most, someone that bothers me, annoys me, something just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I try and send positive energy their way. And I kind of like do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. I put that on them and expect the same thing from them. That positivity. Number 4.
I like that. I appreciate that. You are perceptive.
I used to be a lot more perceptive. I lost it a bit and I'm starting to get it back. My mom is extremely perceptive and very intuitive about things, about people, about when is the right movement and when it's not. It could be anything from like walking to your car late at night and feeling like everything's fine, but there's not something. Sitting in a classroom and everything's going right, but something inside of you is saying no, or just being perceptive about everything. And I think a lot of us are very perceptive, but with media and with other people's voices in our heads, we tend to get steered in different directions. So we should really listen to our intuition and to what's inside of us. So yeah, I think I'm an perceptive person.
There you go.
Okay.
Nailed it.
I don't know.
You question authority.
Yes, all the time. Do I not? I question authority constantly, especially when I was little. Really, when I was little, but I always do this. I question how institutions have put rules and why they've put certain things in place, and if they're really just doing it to have a rule in place or if it actually is to the benefit of the people that those rules are in place. I was constantly doing this as a child in schools, constantly trying to change rules, showing up to the principal's office as a little kid on a daily basis, having a thought out plan and presenting them with a better way to run the cafeteria system, and then being like, oh, that is a really good idea. And then just throwing it away because they didn't want to listen to it from someone that young. I grew up in a very kind of backwards place, as Chandler said before.
Not far from me.
Yes,
actually.
We both kind of did, and they really kind of frowned upon women, but also younger people making a stand and thinking they can change things, and that was really disrespectful. So I didn't necessarily get really far until I kind of discovered volunteering and getting involved issue advocacy-wise. I don't even remember the question now.
All right.
Good.
You want to overturn the man.
I think I need to skip that one.
Right,
I think I need to skip that one because that could get into some political conversations that we're not ready to have here tonight.
That's
so
yes.
let's skip it.
You are creative.
No.
All right.
Next question.
You're wait,
true.
don't you play the piano or keyboard?
She has a keyboard.
I am creative. I can hear a lot of songs and just play them by ear. Piano wise, I'm creative when it comes to fashion.
You always
people-
give suggestions when we're filming.
Consulting wise, I'm very creative when it comes to consulting. I guess just depends on what creativity is. When it comes to food, I'm very creative.
You're a change maker. Your perception on the failings of society is so keen that you're a magnificent leader, offering better methods of business, society, and ways of being.
Yeah, we already brought this one up that I come
So
up
yes.
with better methods that were already in place in institutions. What else does it
Look
say?
at you. What? For that one, that's it. All right, number 9 is you're a lost soul. You feel out of place with others as you recognize you are different than most people.
I think that kind of ties into the you feel entitled or like higher than other people. I felt higher on like a spiritual realm. So for a very long time, especially in the kind of backwards environment that I grew up in, I felt very disconnected from the people that I was around on a spiritual level, on a just collaboration level. I felt like I couldn't connect with anyone and have real conversations with them. But I'm really feeling like I'm finding my place now with awesome people, like-minded people. That can be so hard, is to really search your whole life or a very long time to find people that are like you, that share your interests, that don't make you feel uncomfortable, you could just be yourself around. You know, that can be really difficult.
I got it my first try here at Ultra C.
What do you mean?
You guys were my first attempt at
Oh.
roping people in.
How are we doing?
You're 1 for 1.
We'll see.
Okay.
You are driven. Wait, this one says, as the indigo soul mission is encoded in your very being. What is the indigo soul mission?
To change the world for the better.
That's like a cult. Are you a Power Ranger? Do you have a Zord?
Can you red one? Is
That
there a
makes
red
sense.
Yeah.
one? Okay. Then there, I'm
Wouldn't you be the indigo one? Ah.
No.
Oh, it's broken. I broke the bell.
It's because you held. You can't hold the.
Okay.
Mm.
What does it say?
You're driven. Are you driven? Are you
I'm
trying
definitely-
Did drive here.
I'm
drive
definitely
here.
very driven in many ways. In some ways, I'm like, I don't care. But when it comes to helping people and to putting things together and collaborating with other people, and if I know I can make a difference, then I'm extremely driven.
All right. You are passionate and focused. While fiery temperaments may be hard to take, you are not one to be still or silenced.
Yeah, no, I'm always moving because I can't stay still. And yeah, I do have like a fiery temperament. I mean, when I get really jazzed up, I just start squeaking like a hyena
happens.
or
True.
a dolphin.
Can you give us,
Multiple
can you
times
give us a
today.
little dolphin right now?
Back way close to the mic.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Give us
Give us
everybody.
a really
This is gonna
tame
be bad.
version.
That's good. That's
That's
all
fine.
right.
That's fine. Stop.
I'm cutting you off.
Yeah. Mike's muted.
Is there anything else? I feel like the listeners are not going to be very
There's two
interested in
more.
about
No,
this.
this one is interested.
Oh.
You are highly psychic. Without any need for development, your
Ooh.
psychic capacity is finely tuned.
Ooh, that is one that I can't say I really have. I do notice some very interesting kind of visions that do come true in my dreams, but not really. A few things in my dreams that I've definitely noticed have come true. My mom's like slightly psychic, but I'm not. No.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And last one is you're frustrated. Just in general, I
And we're
guess.
done here.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening to the Board
She
Yet.
is
You
frustrated.
get the Indigo Child seal of approval from me.
Nice. Same.
I think you checked all the boxes.
Got the
It's not
indigo
just-
prophecy.
It's not just about being labeled as
You're the
one
chosen
thing
one.
and having like a spiritual superpower. It's just being aware of who you are and yourself on a spiritual level. I believe that there's another level that we don't see, that we don't attribute people's energies, who they are, their little special gifts and talents.
Number 14. Are you Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Who's Avatar?
His name's Ong.
Aang.
What?
Aang.
I only saw the M. Night Shyamalan version. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Fire.
So sorry. And now we're gonna talk about Infinity War. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We haven't seen
We
it.
don't care.
If
We
you're
still haven't
still
seen it.
listening at this point,
Congratulations,
why?
you win.
All I want to know is, could you just call us up and tell us why?
You unlock the Indigo Child Award.
I will
Only
be coming
Indigo
home to your.
Childs.
I will be coming to your house tonight, and I'll clean your kitchen for you.
Speaking of still listening, we have to wrap it up
I
soon.
don't understand
So,
how that should. All right.
if you wanna,
Oh boy.
anything you guys want to shout out?
It has been a roller coaster of emotions.
I want to shout
today.
out really quick.
What do you want to shout out?
I'd like to shout out once again to Mitchell Fenn and to Sam Keenan
Absolutely.
for their amazing work. Again, they're not here, but they are a huge part of our team for Lab 212 moving forward, and they're incredible. They work tirelessly, such great attitudes. I just like to shout them out again because we cannot sing their praises enough. So
It's true.
I'd like to shout out all you guys in this room who have been doing the shoots since 6 a.m. and everything that's come before it, all the meetings late night at Wegmans and all the great times we've had so far, and everyone's at home who's been a part of this. It's just been amazing. Everyone's been doing such amazing work, and all the artists that we're working with as well. Everyone's just awesome. I'm so excited for what comes next, and hopefully we can get over this, all the tumultuous rebranding, and we can just slide right into a nice groove of, making content and working really hard and just doing what we love and what we do best. And that's going to be moving forward as Lab 212 on everything, everywhere on the internet.
So what exactly? So Twitter, Facebook.
Twitter, Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram.
So yeah, so it's Twitter. Twitter. Our Twitter is. It's all. Everything is going to be the same. Everything is going to be Lab 212. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat,
YouTube. Twitch.
YouTube, and Twitch. And so that will be changing today, or
That's-
that will be changing today. But if you're listening to this once it's posted on YouTube, it will already be changed. So it will be that you don't need to refollow new accounts.
Nope.
It's just going to be the same accounts you already follow. Poorly Edited Podcasts, but these will all be changed. And we want to know what you guys think. We want to know what you want to see, the kind of content you want to see, who you might be interested in us working with or collabing with. Send us messages, comment on our stuff, reply to us, interact with us, because we're listening and we want to know what you think, because we're doing this all for you. So
it'll be Lab 212 spelled out, not the numbers. So
yes, LABTWO.
TWELVE.
oh my, I'm so
No
proud
one
of you
can spell
guys.
here. We think it's Lab 212.
Any final words before we?
Well, I
it
want
off?
everyone to go check out Mitchell Fenn's first Lab 212 live stream over at Lab 212 twitch.tv. It's going to be lit. It's going to be awesome. Starting
Should start
at
around 6, yep.
soon-ish. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being a part of this so far and in the future. To everyone past and present, listening from the great beyond of YouTube and elsewhere. And thanks everyone for coming out tonight and hanging out and being on the show and making everything possible. It's been awesome.
Don't forget, you can catch us live every Monday from 4 to 5 on WXLVDX, Poorly Edited Podcast, not going anywhere.
Except the broom closet.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's closet for sure.
We'll get into that next week.
Only
And then
changes how uncomfortable we are. Doesn't
Right.
change anything about where you'll be able to find us.
Yeah.
I think to take us out, we'll have Mungo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sun Magic. Check them out.
Once
New
again,
EP coming soon.
Ryan
Ryan
Flynn,
Flynn.
Ryan Flynn.
woo!
Good
Thanks
night.
everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Drive safe.